Alright, it's election day, and you're sitting on your couch. You haven't voted yet because your favorite candidate, Gold, is not going to win, and you're thinking, I'm not going to vote. But you see on the news, here's some exit polls, and it's a really close race between Silver and Bronze. And you like Silver more than Bronze, and you think, hey, maybe I can make a difference in this election. So, to make a difference, you are going to throw your support behind Silver, trying to help him win, and you are not going to give any support to Bronze, and you're going to help him lose. So tactical voting basically follows two rules. Either you're going to help a candidate or you're going to almost sabotage a candidate. So in this example, we're compromising because even though Silver's not our favorite candidate, he's a compromise candidate. So we're going to throw our support behind him. And with Bronze, we're going to bury Bronze by, even though if we like him a little bit, we're not going to give him any support, and we're going to lower his value, so we're going to essentially bury him. So those names make sense, right? Compromising, bury, or burying. So let's take a look at what this looks like on a ballot, and I'm going to show you on a score ballot because it's the easiest way to see it. So maybe these are our honest preferences. We give Gold a 5, and Silver a 3, and Bronze a 1 here, and Evil a 0. So in this case, we're going to throw our full support behind Silver and give him a 5, thus compromising. And with Bronze, we're going to bury him and give him a 0, even though we like him a little bit. So let's look at one more scenario. Okay, what do we do in this case? Now, Bronze is going to win, or it's between Bronze and Evil, and we know that Silver and Gold aren't going to win, so we're going to have to move to our third favorite candidate here, and we're going to compromise for him. So we'll look at a ballot again, and we'll give Bronze a 5, and Evil's already at a 0, so we compromise again. And you know what? In this case, Silver's probably not going to win, but heck, why don't we just give him a 5 anyway, just in case there's a small chance. It'd definitely be better than Evil winning, right? So, and if you notice, on this ballot, we have all 5s and a 0. So this is called min-max voting. And essentially what min-max voting is just compromising for all candidates, maximizing support for some of them, and minimizing support for other ones. Really simple. We like to make up a lot of different names for different strategies, but essentially what we're doing is trying to sabotage one candidate and compromise or help another candidate. And it's different than our honest preferences. So let's look at what this is going to look like on a single choice ballot. All right, we have the same scenario here. It's close between Bronze and Evil, so instead of voting for Gold, we're going to vote for Bronze. And the problem with single choice ballots is you have to give up your support for Gold and give up your support for Silver, not showing them any support at all so that you can show your support for Bronze. So lots of times you can't even show your favorite candidate any support at all. Okay, let's look at this for ranked choice voting. All right, so with ranked choice voting, essentially it's going to look the same. You're going to compromise and bring Silver up, and you might bring Bronze down. So you're compromising for Silver, and you're burying Bronze. And you might think, well, wait up. If I compromise for Silver, I have to bring my Gold vote down, right? Why would I want to do that? Aren't my Gold votes just going to go, or isn't my vote for Gold, if he doesn't win, just going to go to Silver anyway? And you would be right, unless there's a close tie between Silver and Gold. Let's say that if Gold gets eliminated first, and most Gold voters have Silver as their second preference, then yeah, Silver's going to win the election, and you don't really have to worry about it. But let's say Gold's doing really well, and Silver gets eliminated first. Let's say Silver's voters are split between Bronze and Gold, and maybe more of them go to Bronze, and you know that. If Silver gets eliminated first, then their votes are going to go to Bronze, and Bronze is going to win. So if Gold does really well, then you might actually want to compromise, and you want Gold to be eliminated first so that Silver wins. So essentially it's the same thing, it's a compromise, same strategy, it just looks a little bit different under ranked choice. And this is actually, I wanted to clarify, this is for runoff versions, so instant runoff voting. And I mean, you might want to do this sometimes for Condorcet methods too. And let's look at a different example where you would want to bury bronze. So it's kind of ignore the silver gold thing for now. Let's say you know that gold could beat silver or gold could beat evil one-on-one, but you're not sure about gold and bronze. That's going to be a close race. So what you might want to do is get evil into the final round. So he goes one-on-one with gold, and then you can beat evil. So we call this the pushover method. Let's say evil's a pushover. He's an easy win. So you want to get him into the final round. So what you're going to do is you're going to push bronze down and bring evil up, hoping that evil goes into the final round, and gold can beat evil. So it looks a little different with ranked choice methods, especially if it's a runoff, but essentially it's the same thing. You're compromising and you're burying. So you might be thinking now, okay, election strategy is pretty easy. You either compromise and bury, and for the most part, you'd be right, because it is really simple. It's not like a game of chess where there's lots of different rules and different strategies. It's a lot more like a game of poker where you're trying to read the cards that the other candidate has, and you're trying to figure out what are their voters going to do, and it's more of a game of human behavior. So we're going to talk about the chicken dilemma right now, and essentially it's a game of chicken between two voters. So look at this scenario here. It's a close race between gold and silver, but also evil is likely to win too. So what gold and silver voters could do is they could compromise together, and they could go for, help each other out and help each other win over evil. Or they could assume that the other person's going to help them out, and then they can kind of cheat, and gold voters could actually sabotage silver so that gold gets the win. And likewise, silver voters can sabotage gold so that silver gets the win. But if they both do it, then evil wins, and neither of them like that. So you kind of have to figure out what are the other voters going to do, and hopefully your strategy doesn't backfire on you. So what if voters had no information at all, and maybe everyone's lying during the exit polls, and everyone knows that, so no one has any information on who's going to be the front runners. What are voters going to do, or what would they do? I don't really know the answer to this, but some people might just bullet vote. They might just vote for their ideal candidate, and that's what bullet voting is. If you haven't heard that term before, is only voting for one and no one else. Or some people might use a min-max strategy, where maybe they draw a certain threshold and say, all right, I'm going to do gold and silver, but not bronze and evil. Or some people might kind of play it safe and do some more compromising, and they might give all three votes, gold, silver, bronze, but not their worst candidate, just in hopes of, that insurance policy not letting evil win. So what do you think people would do if they had no information? Go ahead and leave me that in the comments. Also, one option I didn't even think about is someone could just vote honestly. They might give 5 out of 5 for gold, and 3 out of 5 for silver, 2 out of 5 for bronze, and 0 out of 5 for evil. They might not use any strategy at all. So just to review some terminology that we learned today is we learned about compromising, which is giving more support for a candidate who's not necessarily your favorite in hopes of having them win over someone else. And then we have burying, which is trying to hurt one of the front runners that's not your favorite front runner. You have min-max voting, which is basically just both of those combined on a score ballot. And then you have bullet voting, which I consider a subtype of min-max voting. You're giving full support to one candidate and then minimum support to all the rest of the candidates. We also talked about the pushover strategy, that's for runoffs. And that's when you're trying to get a candidate into the final round that your candidate can easily beat. I think it's important to mention that no voting method is immune to strategy. This is assuming it's using only voters' preferences, and it's not one of the more unorthodox methods. And I also think it's important to note that information is absolutely vital to make the right decisions. And also media plays a big part in the strategy, and even candidates can play a big part in the strategy. For example, in Australia, candidates or the parties will give out how-to vote cards. They use a ranked voting, and they'll basically tell you should vote this person first, this person second, this person fourth, this person fifth, and they'll tell you exactly how to do it. So people don't necessarily have to figure out the strategy themselves. So I hoped that I could help some of you understand strategy a little bit better today. When I first started getting into voting theory, I got really confused among all these different terms: min-max, bullet, pushover, compromising varying, and it's all actually relatively simple. We just like to make up a whole bunch of different names for when they're used.